Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So, firstly, for those of you who are returning viewers, I have a microphone now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have a microphone. But more importantly than that, it is the first day of the World Rapid and Blitz. And we have to start with Magnus Carlsen. Last year he won both, the World Rapid and the World Blitz, so he'll be looking to defend both titles. He goes into this, as he does every tournament, as the favorite. But this first game I show you is incredible. It's him against Denis Lazavik, who had a bit of an up and down tournament in the Champions Chess Tour Finals, where he started really well and then kind of fell away. So we're going to have a look at how this game went. Magnus. And the thing with this is it's a Swiss event, and what that means is the more you win, the higher you finish. So it's not round robin. There's so many players you can't do round robin. So you need to continuously win games. You can't stumble. So here we get d4, and we get this. Magnus plays a Slav. Now, draws are still okay. Magnus drew his first round, but this is incredible. So, we play the exchange Slav. This is boring as anything. This is like automatic draw. You agree to a draw here. But they play on knight c3, knight f6. We develop the bishop, we develop our knight, and so far, all of this is normal. You develop your rook to the open c file as white. Black plays this, so the bishop now has to go to that square. It can't go to that square anymore. Apologies if you can hear the mouse clicking. You bring the knight out, the pawn gets pushed forward, the queen comes out. This is all very normal stuff in these types of structures. We get rook a7, which, to me, looks incredibly stupid. The engine here says just play bishop to b4. That way the queen doesn't see that pawn anymore. I mean, you can play queen c7 if you really want. The bishop cuts off that square, so that's why you can't play rook b8. But Magnus plays rook a7. And that's already a step in the wrong direction. Denis develops a bishop, so does Magnus castles, and Magnus retreats the knight. So now he's going to look to go cover that side of the board. Now Denis bringing in his knight, sorry for that, bringing in his knight. And now we can be going to that square and to that square. So, look at that. Magnus strikes back with g5. So he's going to be counter-attacking then on the king side. The bishop moves forward, but castles. Now there was a better move here for Magnus, and it was to just play knight c takes here. This is what they wanted. They think this gave Magnus the edge that he needed. Castling is fine, and now Magnus plays the best move. Denis plays the best move rather. Bishop to g3 gets the bishop out the way, and even though you play h5, h3, and Denis is fine, and he's got an 0.7 advantage, and time is fairly level. They're playing 15 plus 10. Magnus lurches forward, but this is overdoing it because yes, you're attacking my king, but your king is going to become weak, and Denis starts bringing back all the pieces. I get the bishop out the way. I take a pawn. And Magnus here makes a critical mistake. He brings his king up because now he wants to bring in the rooks. But we get bishop takes f5 and then g3. And we're fine because although you can do this and you finally bring your other rook back, I'm ready to bring my queen up and to fight back on the h-file. And this is now completely winning for Denis Lazavik. Like, look at this. Magnus's whole plan was to get the Alekhine gun, which is when you put all three pieces on the same file, and just, come down this way. But Denis is covering this square. He's got his rook on this file. He's got this rook covering. His king's... There's nothing there for Magnus. Sorry, as I rub my nose. And he's going to lose pieces. So Denis is up a pawn. He blockades now with his knight. And Magnus retreats. The other rook comes. Your king can slip away. But I'm now targeting these two weak pawns. This knight was targeting this. This is targeted. And although you can retreat your knight, knight g6 check. And it's critical because if queen takes g6, rook g6 is a problem. Because you've got king g7, and then we just go back. And then I'm up a rook. And the other critical idea is you can do this. This is what they think is the best move. It's what Magnus plays. Now you do lose your queen, and then we get g takes h5. So we've got a queen for a knight and a rook, but the queen is just too strong. That's a weakness, that's a weakness, that's a weakness, that's a weakness. Your knights and your king are just too weak, and Dennis, yes, opens Magnus's king up slightly. The queen is too mobile, too many targets. Magnus can't get his pieces around in time. They trade off the knights, but these pawns are just going. And here Magnus Carlsen resigns. And Dennis Lazavik defeats Magnus. Magnus did win his other games after drawing the first round and losing this one, but it was just an incredible performance. But that was not the only shock of the tournament, ladies and gentlemen. We had 2 more games that I'm going to show you. Shocks in the second round of the tournament. Fabiano Caruana, look at that massive rating. 2766 against 2588. Vladimir Murzin. And we get a Sicilian, a 4-knight Sicilian, and take after d4. And Fabiano goes for this, like a Sveshnikov. You get your knight jumping in here, and Fabi knows as well. He played the white side of this in the 2018 World Championship against Magnus Carlsen. This is all those guys played for like 2 weeks. But it's just, it's imbalanced all the time. Yes, you get a very powerful knight there on d5. But black is always fine. And black will build up. Here, you'll move your king away. You'll retreat your bishop. And black's big break is this f5. That is the move that terrified the chess world when Magnus Carlsen played this opening. And they just play and play and play. And here, queen c5. A critical mistake from Fabi. The engine much rather thinks you need to continue with your plan. You lock down everything on the queen side. Now you need to break through. Instead, he brings the queen in, and we get f4. So white says, no, you don't get f5. I get f4. Although you can plant your knight in the center, I just rotate it. And now you get a4. But I've just pushed now with f5. You take, knight takes. Look at that powerful knight. Yes, you can take that. And bring your rook to the a file. When I slide my queen, you think you're blockading. h4. And we just continue. g4. The knight comes in, yes, but it's just not good enough. And Fabi finally cracks. He makes another critical mistake. He brings his rook naturally to f7. But g5. And we shred everything open. This rook comes in, take. And you can't take that pawn. The move here for Fabi, it's already bad. But the preferred move is rook f to a7. It's like, alright, give up defending the king, go for white's king. But instead we take, and although you can get this, my rook covers, and you're just not getting to my king fast enough. Not the best move here by Vladimir. The preferred move was bishop to g2. It's like, just return the bishop home, let it protect the king, and you will break through with these pawns. But instead, we get rook to h3. Fabi makes another mistake. Time pressure, 20 seconds on the clock. We trade rooks, yes. My king is perfectly safe. Yours is not. Check. Good move here. You can't take that pawn because you get mated, so we sacrifice the knight. Take, and the queen comes in here. And another slight inaccuracy, but when you've got 20 seconds and you're beating Fabiano Caruana, it's likely to happen. And we bring the king here. And it takes a couple more moves, but eventually Fabiano Caruana gets it back to a draw. c5 was the only move here. The next best move is losing for black. Losing for white, rather. Black is winning. Fabiano fought back because he managed to herd the king from where it was safe on h1 all the way to d5. Your king cannot be there. And, now we've got the only move to keep it level. And now there's 2 moves for Fabi that hold. That is taking this pawn. And that is queen a5. Oh, queen a5. Those are the 2 moves. He takes, which is the best move. And now the king comes in. Now you've got to be worried about checkmates. And Fabi blunders the game. 2 moves here once again that are holding. Bishop c7. And bishop d4. You can't let the queen get in. Because we go here. Yes, you can take. But this is just winning for white. Because we take another pawn. And even though I'm 2 pawns up, they win because you can't stop this pawn from promoting. You will have to sacrifice your bishop, and then this pawn will promote as the knight blockades that pawn. And Fabiano Caruana goes down. But he was not the only big name to go down in this event. We also had here Alireza Firouzja, Sadhwani, who I will talk about more later. Alireza played this in the Champions Chess Tour, this very cagey double fianchetto setup, where you invite a big attack and you invite imbalance. And the whole idea is to steady everything on the queen side, really steady everything, because the whole idea is you want to play e4. But Sadhwani, c5, a5, and then a4. So we push the pawn. Now we get e4. Now we can plant our knight. But they look for an exchange. And we just bring the knights forward, take, and Alireza is better. Alireza is better, and he's got a couple minutes on the clock. But look at this. In fighting the trade of the strong knight, and the knights just dance, and here, a big mistake, Alireza's winning. That bishop shouldn't have gone there. The best move here, as stupid as it looks, h5. Get the queen off that square, and Fabi why do I keep calling him Fabi? Alireza makes a blunder. There are two moves here to hold advantage, big advantage for white. That is, knight takes f7, and bishop takes d5. Instead, Alireza looks to trade off, but this allows now h5, and when the queen retreats, we take the knight. Yes, you can take this bishop and get this, but it is not enough. You're not getting enough, and brilliancy. This is probably what Alireza overlooked, that you can sacrifice the rook. It's the only move really holding. There's one other try, which is just rook d7, but this is the only move. Rook takes d8, leaves it as a flat draw because you take, and now material is balanced, and Alireza is down on the clock. This is important, and we bring the rook in, and it's not the right square. You need to play h4 to lock your bishop in place, or bring the bishop back to d2. You can't go here, because we trade rooks, and although you can try this, this is not where your rooks need to be, and we lock everything down on the queen side, and you can retreat your rook, I trade, and this endgame is always better for the knight. You can say, well, these pawns are all on dark squares, and this is a dark square bishop, but there's so many pawns. This knight is going to get in and win all of them, and that is exactly what it goes on to do. It wins one pawn, and soon, look at this. You can take, but the bishop comes back, and then you don't want to be left with double pawns. You'd rather be taken and undouble, so we just make a waiting move. And Sadhwani wins against Alireza Firouzja with 4 minutes on the clock against 36 seconds. Absolutely incredible. But ladies and gentlemen, I have one final game to show you. Apologies for the cut, I forgot to put it in the original video. But I've got one final heartbreaking game to show you. I'm not going to show you the whole game. Instead, I'm going to jump right here. Bishop to c5. This is move 53. And you'll see why I jump here in a moment. Because Hikaru is a level position. And what he does here is he manages to get a bishop here. It's a draw all the way. Donchenko, he's playing Donchenko. Check, the bishop covers the promotion. This is a long endgame, they're playing with seconds on the clock. And what he manages to do here is we get this. This is a draw. And we get all the way here. Now what kicks in here is the 50 move rule, which means Hikaru has 50 moves to try and win this game. To try and mate Alexander Donchenko. Now this is a draw. A beautiful rook sacrifice and then a draw. So this is a draw, a theoretical draw if you know how to do it. And we go, and we go, and we go. And they play 50 moves from here. Check, check. The key is to not get mated and to make sure your rook always has checks and it harasses the bishop. And these players know how to draw it. Look at this. They're building up time on their clock. They're playing this so quickly. And you just go and you go and you go. You've got to try get the king stuck on one of the edges of the board. And soon Hikaru manages to do that. And now it's about trying to find Zugzwan. And he does. Eventually, he finds it. Donchenko holding his own. We're waiting. Moves are going. Hikaru down to 13 seconds. That means he played a move with 3 seconds because they get 10 seconds increment. So you don't want to lose on time. And here, ladies and gentlemen, this key move here gives a check. We go here. And Hikaru has mate in 2. This is check. And this is mate. So I'm going to show you. This is check. It's going to say a draw. Because this was the 50th move. Because black goes here to make their 50th move. And even though Hikaru has made in 1, the game ends in a draw. A win snatched. Hikaru snatched a draw from victory. He had a victory on the board, but he wasn't allowed to play it because of the rules of chess. He had 50 moves. He could not get it done quick enough. He did everything he could, but this game ends in a draw. Donchenko holds on by the hair on his chinny chin chin. He's a very good looking man. Hikaru did not lose a game, but he drew 2. So he's falling back a bit in the field. I will show you the table tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow's video, because right now it's still very close. They've played just the 5 rounds. Tomorrow they'll have gone up to round 9, I believe. And I'll show you the table then, because it'll have some more weight to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Comment on how I can improve. And subscribe if you'd like to see more from me.